Good afternoon, I'm Charles Lejano. This is One News Now. Officials say an approved COVID-19 vaccine may enter the country a little earlier than initially expected. Greg Gregorio gives us the projected timeline in this report.
The Food and Drug Administration says a COVID-19 vaccine may be available in the country as early as March 2021. Director General Eric Domingo explains that the adjustment comes as the FDA may now grant emergency use authorization. According to Domingo, this is possible if at least one foreign manufacturer will apply for an EUA in the country within this month.
Yung US FDA mukhang magbibigay na rin po ng EUA, possibly sa Pfizer at saka sa Moderna within 2 weeks, no? 1 to 2 weeks. So ibig po sabihin nito, itong mga kumpanya na ito, kapag sila ay na-approve na sa Amerika o sa UK, maaaring naghahanda na rin po sila ng pag-a-apply sa iba-ibang bansa katulad ng Pilipinas.
Domingo once again assures the public that while the process of approval will just take over 20 days, applications will be strictly reviewed.
So by next week po, maglalabas kami ng guidelines ng proseso. Isasubmit po diretso ang application sa FDA to the Office of the Director General. Pagkatapos po, hahatiin ko yung mga dokumento, yung mga technical tsaka mga concerns po.
The FDA notes that most of vaccines being developed abroad are being tested among patients aged 19 and above. Meanwhile, the Science and Technology Department reports a positive outcome on the clinical trials for virgin coconut oil. Experts used VCO as an adjunct food supplement among 57 suspect and probable COVID-19 cases. In the trial conducted at Santa Rosa Community Hospital in Laguna, participants have been divided into 2 groups.
The intervention lasted for 28 days. Okay, so the intervention group received the VCO mix in standard meals based on the recipes of FNRI, while the control group received the same standard meals without VCO.
Data indicate that those among the VCO group showed improved condition and were all cleared from all symptoms. On the other hand, results show that the recovery period took longer for those without VCO.
The VCO had better results as compared with the control group in terms of showing to us diminishing signs and symptoms of our probable and suspect cases.
Experts, however, clarify that VCO is not being tested as an independent treatment against COVID-19.
VCO is actually a functional food. It is an adjunct supplement para po ito ay maibsan ang simptomas ng ating suspect at saka probable cases ng COVID-19 para ito po ay hindi po tutuloy na maging severe case.
In addition, they cannot say just yet if VCO should now be part of standard care for patients with COVID-19. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Metro Manila mayors unanimously voted against allowing minors to enter malls. JC Cosico tells us why in this report.
Amina is having a hard time reminding 2 of her children, both minors, not to go out because of the threat of COVID-19. The 47-year-old parent says she fears not just for her kids' safety, but that of other household members as well, including herself.
Kasi nga po, katwiran din naman po ng ibang bata, bakit sila lumalabas? Okay. Bakit hindi kami? Kapag career na sila at naramdaman na nila mga sintomas, sino ang maapektuhan? Ang magulang.
This is why she is in favor of the decision of the Metro Manila Council to prohibit minors from going outside, especially in malls. MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia has announced that all 17 NCR mayors voted not to allow children aged 17 and below to go outside for non-essential activities. He says the decision was based on the recommendation of health experts.
Usually asymptomatic sila. Talagang walang kahit anong symptoms. No? So just imagine na punta ng restaurant yan or mall, kakain yan, magtatagal ng mask, tapos may inip, magtatakbo yan, may malapitan na vulnerable, makahawa sila.
The official clarifies that minors will still be allowed to go out, but only for essential services and exercise.
Subject also to the interpretation of the LGUs, may mga ordinansa sila, pero yung exercise po allowed yan. No? Ang hindi lang pwede sa exercise, yung contact sport like basketball, football, yan, hindi pwede yan. Pero yung mga jogging, biking, yan, inaalaw naman po natin yan. Lalo na kung outdoor.
Local government units, PNP, and mall owners will be in charge of enforcing the policy.
Ang ganda po ng numero ng NCR ngayon. Very stable yung numbers natin. Right now, I think 2,400 na lang ang active cases natin. So we want to maintain it hanggang end of the year.
MMC Chair and Parañaque Mayor Edwin Olivares says not just airing establishments will face consequences, but also parents once their children are caught on the streets.
Kasi kapag hindi po kayo susunod, wala pong magagawa ang ating LGU kung hindi ipasarado ang inyong establishment. Ang bibigyan po natin ng penalty, ang kakasuhan po, hindi po yung bata, kung hindi ang magulang.
In an interview with Totoo Lang, public health expert Dr. Tony Liechon says allowing minors outside residence would be a nightmare.
Ang bata, kaya nga naka-online education yan. Tapos pupuntahin mo sa mall. Scientifically kasi, ang bata kasi, mataas ang immunity. Pero pag pinalabas mo yan, asymptomatic yan.
For its part, the health department reiterates its warning on the possible spike in COVID-19 infections after the holidays.
There is this possibility of a surge come January if and when we are not going to comply with the standards that we have been implementing for the longest time.
For News 5, JC Cosico, VR 1 News.
The country's COVID-19 caseload has breached the 435,000 mark. Latest data from the DOH shows over 1,000 new infections recorded over the past 24 hours. The cities of Quezon and Davao top the list with most cases with 92 each, followed by the province of Rizal. Active cases are now down to some 27,600 after 328 new recoveries overnight. On the other hand, the virus claimed 10 more patients, pushing the nationwide death toll to above 8,400. Russia, which has the fourth highest number of cases in the world, is set to begin vaccination across the country next week. President Vladimir Putin says 2 million doses of Sputnik V will be available in the next few days for doctors and teachers. The World Health Organization warns that the global supply of shots in the next 3 to 6 months will not be enough to prevent a surge in infections. The organization's top emergency expert is calling on the public to maintain strict compliance with minimum health protocols. We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The country's unemployment rate eased to 8.7% in October. The latest figure represents around 3.8 million jobless Filipinos, a drop from 10% or 4.6 million unemployed back in July. The NCR had the highest unemployment rate with 12.4%, followed by the Ilocos region with 11.5% and Calabarzon with 11%. Meanwhile, the underemployment rate, or those who are employed but looking for additional work, was at 14.4%. Palace spokesperson Harry Roque attributes the decline in unemployment to the easing of quarantine restrictions, which allowed more businesses to resume operations. Labor group Defend Jobs Philippines is unimpressed with the latest data, saying that millions of others are still reeling from job losses and are in need of support from the government.
Marami pa rin po yan, kaya nakakalungkot nga po yan. Kaya nga po, naging advocacy na natin na yun sa mga lugar na nagbubukas ng turismo dahil ang turismo po ay tinatawag na ano tawag doon? Parang napakadali po magbigay ng hanap buhay sa turismo, sinusuportahan po natin.
Local airlines are expecting an influx of travelers this holiday season, And they're now coming up with new ways to prevent the spike in COVID infections among passengers. Gerard de la Peña tells us more.
Local airlines are bracing for an exodus of Christmas travelers. They say passenger volume will not be as high as the previous years, but they are seeing an encouraging sign for air travel as flights have reached 80% of the maximum capacity this holiday season. Air Asia, for one, has added 21 flights to various local destinations per week.
Pagdating sa usaping Pasko, alam natin na yung mga kababayan natin hindi mapipigil ng pandemya yung kagustuhan nila na makasama yung kanilang mga mahal sa buhay and makauwi sa kanilang mga probinsya.
Cebu Pacific is looking at requiring its passengers to undergo antigen testing on top of the swab results that they need to present. It is now conducting a 2-week pilot run on passengers bound for General Santos City. Antigen tests will be free during the period, but after December 14, passengers will be charged 700 pesos for the process.
We want to reduce the risk of infection between the time the test is taken to the time that passengers board their flight.
Passengers have differing opinions on the additional testing requirement.
Abala sa ginagawa nila. May swab test na naman kami, tapos pagdating dito, swab test na naman.
Okay din siya at least. Pag uwi namin doon, di ba yung mga loved ones namin, at least mano namin na safe sila.
For its part, the Philippine Airlines has started offering discounted RT-PCR testing for its passengers. Ticket holders may avail of a 500 peso discount from the regular rate of 4,500 pesos at Pulse testing site in Ermita, Manila. The flag carrier has also increased both domestic and international flights. The frequency of its flights, especially its international bound flights. Airports are expecting more arrivals after the government allowed the visa-free entry of Filipinos with foreign passports starting December 7.
This is a major milestone. It's a major breakthrough because ito nga yung sakit ng ulo ng ating balikbayans noon na simula pa ng pandemya, dapat they should, let's say former Filipino citizens, let's say naging US citizen ka, di ka makakabalik unless you get a Philippine passport, di ba?
The aviation industry, which is among the hardest hit by the pandemic, is banking on eased restrictions and improving passenger confidence for their survival. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
A suspected member of the country's communist movement has been arrested along with her 1-month-old son. Let's get more details on this from Romel Lopez. He's reporting to us live from Tuguegarao City in Cagayan. Romel, good afternoon. What's the latest on this?
Yes, Charles arrested activist Amanda Echanis now worries that the health of her 1-year-old son will be endangered. But the police and the government assure her that steps will be carried out to ensure the welfare of her child. Charles Amanda, the daughter of slain peace consultant Randy Echanis, was arrested here in Cagayan on Wednesday. Officer says that they recovered a long firearm and a semi-automatic weapon with ammunition in her possession. They also reported that she was carrying explosives such as hand grenades and a landmine. According to the PNP, they have evidence to prove that the suspect is linked to the New People's Army. In a TV interview, PNP Chief Debold Sinas accused Amanda of being a finance officer of the NPA Cagayan Valley Committee. But kilusang magbubukid ng Pilipinas and Anak Pawis refute. They said that the allegation saying that Amanda is just a peasant organizer. According to Anak Pawis leader Ariel Casilaw, the arrest was illegal as it was done on planted evidence. The groups also raised concern on the health of Amanda's 1-month-old child who is still being breastfed. Recall that in October, Baby River, the daughter of another detained activist, Rena May Nasino, died after being separated from her mother. But PNP Region 2 Chief Brigadier General Crisaldo Nieves insists that this will not happen under his watch. According to Nieves, they have provided doctors and nurses to check on their condition. Malacanang, for their part, will ask Social Welfare Department to take steps to ensure the welfare of the child. Earlier today, our news team was able to talk exclusively to Amanda. Let's hear what she had to say.
Mga gawa-gawang kaso yun, bahagi ng red tagging na ginagawa nila sa mga aktivista. Yung mga nakita nilang mga firearms and ammunition, tinanim yun no, ng mga pulis. Wala akong alam sa mga armas na sinasabi nila.
Charles, police authorities maintained that the arrest was within the bounds of the law as it was backed with a warrant of arrest. Amanda will be facing charges of illegal possession of firearms, ammunition, and explosives. Charles?
Thank you, Romel Lopez, reporting live from Tuguegarao City in Cagayan. Javelin Kulyamat, who was killed in a military encounter over the weekend, has been laid to rest. Javelin's family was emotional during the burial of their 22-year-old girl in their hometown of Surigao del Sur. Her mother, Bayan Muna Representative Euphemia Kulyamat, was a no-show due to travel difficulties amid the pandemic. Euphemia, however, has sent a letter to the Human Rights Commission calling for a probe into Javelin's death. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. And you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.